Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on the Live Fearlessly vlog series. Today I'm talking with Beth Schmidt. And Beth, where are you located?
I am located in Muskego, Wisconsin, and that is, I don't know, I'm about 20 minutes from Milwaukee, so a
Okay,
little bit directionally challenged, but I like southwest,
cool.
I would say.
Cool. Okay, yeah. I'm central. I am Wausau, Wisconsin. So I was just talking about pronunciation of all of the places and how there's some great videos of people like Muskego, like trying to enunciate all of the places. So are you from there originally?
No, actually,
Okay.
I'm not. We have lived out here almost 21 years, but
Wow.
I'm actually from Illinois. I come from a little town
Okay.
down central on the eastern part of Illinois called Danville. So uh, little farm town in the midst of a bunch of littler farm towns. So yeah, I moved up to Wisconsin when I was 16, 15, 15. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Cool. For directionally challenged, you're saying a lot of directions.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Maybe I'm just bringing it to the attention. Like I would really like to know, but
That's
bringing
cool.
it to the awareness, acknowledging that I don't know.
Yes, that's okay. I love it. That's so fun. So, so that's great. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about Beth's story around, a significant time in her life when fear held her back from living her life fully and how that life experience has shaped the leader and the person that she is today. And before we dive into that, Beth, is there anything like fun and interesting about you that you would like to share? I always like to just start with something to get us started because fear
Oh
can be a
man.
heavy topic or just like, I like fun. So let's start off with an interesting fact about you.
Interesting fact. I found true love in a vegetable. I
Oh my
did come
God.
from a lot of crap, so I started working on a organic vegetable farm, and I absolutely fell in love, like deep, deep love for the first time. I just couldn't believe how the farm worked.
Oh my gosh. Well, and you said you grew up a farmland in small farm, like in the small town in farms, right? You mentioned that already. So,
Yeah, I did, and that's a lot of heavily sprayed corn and soybeans, so stuff
oh,
that no longer resonates with me.
okay. Well, hey, I'm curious about all this now because it's like, that is a huge reason of why you do what you do now,
Hmm.
um, that experience. So I'm curious to see if that comes through any other way of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I
Um,
am too.
it usually happens that way, but no pressure. Like we're just gonna talk. So super, super fun. Well, that's amazing. So and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, a bit about me is I am a mom to three teenagers. Well, one's almost teenager. He is 12, and then 16 and almost 18. So that keeps me very, very busy. I definitely work diligently on balancing time, emotions, homework, housework, cars, practices, and all that kind of stuff. I've been married 21 years to a very hardworking man. I'm not going to lie, I do struggle though to really understand the male species. So that is a daily work, and I think that's kind of fun for the journey. It's always
Yeah.
fun. And I've been kind of hobbying around the holistic wellness arena for probably the past 10 years, and I just try to go deeper and know more, find out more, and which has then in turn taken me closer to who I am and living my purpose and what I came to this world to share. So
I love it.
that's a
I love
little
it.
bit.
I love it. And so like my instant like human connection driven person is like, hi, Beth, who are you? And what is your purpose? As you just said, you found that I was like, hi, let's go. Let's talk about it. So I love that. So like with that, like you guys, this is gonna be so fun. Okay, so and that's a huge reason of why Beth's here today is because everything that she's talking about, I'm really excited of the connection that we have and to share this with you guys more. So, so okay, Beth, let's dive in so we get to the point of talking about your purpose and all of that. So, you know, take us, where do you go when the question is asked, right? Like, when was the time in your life that fear held you back from living your life fully? And just start like telling us what that is for you.
Well, I would say I was kind of thinking about this over the past like 24 hours, like really trying to reflect on it pretty hard. And I almost feel like I was born into this world to come up against fear and face it. I come from a lot of emotional trauma in my upbringing, and the way we lived was very fear-based. Obviously I didn't know that then, but looking back, I mean,
Right.
everything we did was out of fear, and I just grew up in a very negative setting. And so that's what I knew. That was my default mode, was negativity and fear-based living. And then I had a good handful of years in the middle where I was on my own, and I had a lot of, I lived like a free, I don't know, for lack of better words, I kind of felt like a rock star, you know, just did whatever I want, whenever I wanted. And it was very freeing, which I didn't have most of my growing up. And
Yeah.
then I came into motherhood, and it was really, really hard. Like I had no clue. I had no clue. And I was in a lot of disease. I was in a lot of disconnection and carried a lot of guilt, shame, and addiction. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that, I mean, everything that I, like my whole upbringing, it was like it was all fear and negative. And so I feel like I came here to start walking through fears. And that's what kind of began my journey 11 years ago, was just starting to pick things up, take a look at them, and do my best to walk through them and change what I needed to change to get through them. Yeah,
Yeah.
does that kind of answer?
Yeah. What, so if you, yeah, absolutely. So if you were to like label the fear and say your fear was this, like what would you say that is?
Um, Gosh, I think it's so many different things. Like, I mean, from the basics of just being um, fear of like thunderstorms, you know, like fear of like just basic life stuff. And then
Yeah.
all the way to like fear of rejection and disappointment, and um, doing it wrong, and or not doing it right, you know. Um, yeah, I mean, probably, like, I look back and it's like I pretty much feared everything.
Mhm. So when you said that your upbringing came, like you came from the fear, like what was your fear that, so did you say that your family was farmers?
No, no,
Okay.
nope. We just lived in yeah, just in
You
the
were in
midst
the
of a
farm
lot of
area.
farms.
So
Hmm.
when you say that your upbringing was like the fear, like what is that?
It was just, it was just looking back, it was just very emotionally traumatic. My parents divorced when I was a year old. They did not like each other, and that was very clear in every
Mm,
interaction that they had. They fought all the time. This is mine, this is mine, this is not yours, you know. They went to court all the time. Money, we were, you know, so, and I have an older brother that has, we have the same mom and dad. And then so my mom got remarried and had 5 kids, and that took all her time, you know. So um that just kind of led everything. And then I don't know, just being shuttled back and forth and stuff like that. And then at 14, my brother was kicked out of the house. So that was very traumatic. And then at 14, my father committed suicide, which was very traumatic, obviously.
wow.
And I had no I didn't know what grieving was. I didn't know how to grieve. So I really tucked it away and
Yeah.
did not deal with any piece of it. And we were actually in an argument at the time and not speaking to each other. And so that made it really, really difficult. But like I said, I tucked it all away. And at 14, I picked up a lot of bad habits. I picked up drinking and smoking and just
Yeah.
going out and hanging out with my friends. And then at 15, my mom uprooted me and moved me to Wisconsin, 4 hours away. So that was pretty traumatic as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, well, so talk a little bit more about like relationships too, like how to relate. I'm very much about human connection and like
Hmm.
all of that. So tell us more about like the relationships in your life then with your fears and like talking about the story, right? What comes to
Well,
mind? Positive, negative, what supported you?
well, when I think about fears, I really just think about how I just really drank them away. I mean, I numbed them out
Numbed
with
it.
alcohol and smoking and other miscellaneous activities. So calling my free spirited time, I mean, I just did whatever. Like I was looking back, I was probably just pretty numb and happy and
Right.
living the life. So, but once I started having children, things started bubbling up and things weren't working out so well. And so, really, I didn't really start feeling fears and even contemplating real relationship, minus with my husband, which we were drinking buddies. So
Right.
we were in it together, you know. Um, so I really didn't contemplate relationships until I had children, and
Yeah.
really not until my third child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like how would you describe like your um like where were you mentally during that time, right? Because so you said numb and all of that. So like what well actually so when you were going through the transition, like was having why the third? Okay, let me just get to it. Why the third? You said the third child. That was like on my head. I was trying to stay away from it, but I'm gonna just go right there. So
Yeah,
why the
definitely.
third?
And that's a super great question. And that is not surprising that that popped out. Is he went against the grain from the time he came out of my womb until this very day.
Till present.
um, my other two children went with the flow, you know. We're doing this, we're doing this, you go do that, it's my time, you go do that, you know. And once little number three came along, that wasn't the case. And I it was hard. It was hard to say the very least. And I had to change. Like it was not an option. And I can't remember if it was like right before that, before I got pregnant with my third, or right after I got pregnant with my third. But after I had him, there was a moment that me and my husband were hanging out, we were drinking, and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I hated everything that I saw. Like I was just paralyzed almost in hate. Like, oh my God. Like I had almost never looked in a mirror in I don't know how long, you know, and I
Right.
just could not believe what I was seeing.
Wow.
And in that moment, there was this little itty bitty spark that I can close my eyes and I can see to this day that was like, from this moment on, nothing is ever going to be the same. And I knew in that moment that I had to change. And I
Yeah.
didn't know what it looked like, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I was drunk, and I was like, okay, whatever, you know, move on, carry on. And that was the very beginning. That was the very beginning of like, there was no turning back. I call it a soul moment because it was a moment that I connected with a very deep and buried soul. And I will never forget it. I will never,
Wow.
ever forget it.
I literally like, okay, so I heard the word spark, and basically the way I translated it is like you walked past the mirror and you like caught a glimpse of the person and you were like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was and I love that you call it a spark because I'm very visual. So as you said that, I was like, I can literally picture. Are you on TikTok, Beth?
I'm not.
Okay. There was this challenge that was like you appear in the mirror and then you're gone, and it's like your best and worst self kind of thing. And I pictured that when you said it because I've saw the challenge with it. Don't do it if you're not there, unless you're ready to lose two hours of your life.
Nope.
Yeah.
Too precious.
Yes. So anyways, I love that that's how you described it, because I feel like, can you guys relate? Like, let us know in the comments if you're resonating with any part of that story, or you care to share. We would love to hear from you. So, okay, what advice would you give the viewers, Beth? When you had that moment, right? And then like, what was good for you then? Like, what was the momentum or things that supported you in starting that transition?
Well, you know what? Things just really kind of found me, and I didn't know at the time, but I was open to them.
Yeah.
I was open to them, and I tried a lot of things. And I think that was one of the key things, is just I didn't know, and I was in a space where I couldn't control whether I knew or whether I didn't know. I just was like, okay, I'm just going to move my foot forward. I'm just going to move my foot forward.
Yeah.
I met shortly around that time, I started a women's networking group out of my house because I needed to be surrounded with people. I was alone. Obviously, my husband was around, but he works very odd hours. So I was alone, and I was like, I need to be around people. I need to start being around people. I wanted a business. I wanted to, I wanted to grow. And a couple of the first people that I met, or tools I say for my toolbox, like really a lot of those first several years were just collecting tools for my toolbox and just putting myself in different situations to grow. And so I went and did Reiki level 1. I went and did spiritual direction, a couple sessions in spiritual direction. I took a life coaching course that a girl I knew was putting on, and it was more of a inward growth course. All of it was. There were so many lessons and so many things that I can look back and like, oh, that was a very big moment. So it was really just building my toolbox and putting myself in situations to try something new,
I'm over here frantically finding a pen that works. I'm taking notes. Are you guys note takers? I need to know that I'm not alone in this. Like, I take notes on everything, and Beth is dropping some great bombs here. So I caught on to inward growth, and I love that. It sounds like you had a lot of great resources that came, like you said, came to you. And I think a big part that people don't realize a lot of times is that we decide, right? You made the decision that it was going to be different from that day on. And that is where the openness came from, the decision, the spark that you saw. And then from there, the universe is literally answering what you want. So that inward growth, I mean, it literally started from the spark that you mentioned to decide it was going to be different. And, we can only make the decision for ourselves. So it took you to be super drunk and to that point that you had to make the actual decision. So I love pointing that out, but I don't know that I've necessarily caught on to people saying inward growth. So I really do like that. Is that something that you just naturally came to? Is that something that you learned from one of your mentors, or tell me about that?
I
Is that a
really
tool
think
from your tool belt?
It
Toolbox?
totally is. It is in the toolbox for sure, for sure. I it's it is the only going inward is the only way to grow from my experience. Like there's so many things going on in our external, but I firmly believe that all our answers are in these amazing bodies that we have been gifted. Every single one of them are healing, are nourishing, um, are seeking, are seeking, seek within. It is all about taking that journey inwards. And I mean, that's kind of where I come out today, is that's what I walk with women on the journey inside. I walk with women on the journey home, like it's about coming home to the self. It really is. And one thing that I just, a tool in my toolbox that just kind of keeps, coming out is just recognizing that soul moment was, it is a moment when my body and my mind and my soul definitely connected, but it is a moment that I've had many of where it's like, I explain it best, like you can't go back. Like you're scared to go forward. There is fear moving forward, but that going back is not an option.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a soul moment, like where,
That's a good description. Like if I had to think of it myself, which I'm glad I don't, because that says it right there to me as well. So I'm right there with you on that. Soul moment. I wrote the definition down from you as you said it. Soul moment, body, mind, soul connected. You can't go back. I love that. Building that into your toolbox. That's awesome. I wanted to ask, Beth, do you do yoga?
I absolutely do yoga. And I've done all kinds, all styles, all places. I currently find my yoga practice that works best for me now is I use the Yoga Collective, and I do it in my living room. And it's like $30 a year. You have choices from everywhere. It's like $12 on Groupon for a year. And that thing, I can just put in what time I want. I found some teachers that I want or I like, and they do, you can pull up whatever you want, whatever you're in the mood for that day.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. I love yoga. And just on that note, in my toolbox is hot yoga. Have you ever done that?
I have not done hot yoga
Oh my gosh.
yet.
Oh my gosh. That is life changing. I got into
Okay.
that last winter. I don't like being cold. I like being hot. And I was like, well, I'm just going to try it. My husband actually brought it up. He's like, why haven't you ever tried hot yoga? And I'm like, I don't know. So I went and tried it. Oh my gosh. I was solidly hooked until the Corona put us all indoors. Shut everything down. But oh my gosh, it was like 95 degrees in there, and you just move and you sweat, and it is amazing.
You guys catch that? It's amazing.
Amazing.
I love it. Let us know. Give us a 1 in the
If
comments.
you try it, yes.
If you've tried it and you love, let us know your experience with hot yoga. That's awesome. I mentioned that because you said the home piece of what you're mentioning, like walking home with you and it's coming home. The free yoga that I do is on YouTube, and it's literally Yoga with Adrienne, and that's like her model is walking home. That's how she talks about yoga. So that really, I was like, that's like the same motto that my mentor in yoga talks about. So that's awesome. So if you haven't checked her out, like Yoga with Adrienne.
Okay, on YouTube?
Yeah, just free YouTube. She has tons on there.
I'll check it out,
really
definitely.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So the other question that I love to ask and dive in, because I love deep connection, is like thinking about being future focused. And you have built a toolbox. So where do you see yourself 5 years from today, living more fearlessly, walking with the fear and like stepping up to it for the inward growth, and like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So 2025.
2025. I see myself just
I
out
love that you
sharing.
smiled right when you were like getting ready.
I'm ready. No. I just see myself out sharing, sharing light and love with the world, sharing light and love with women. There is a lot of disconnection out there, and I want to walk with women to reconnect because it's amazing. Being connected is amazing, and being connected to your body, mind, and soul, just all in alignment, and is amazing. And I don't, you know what? I have bad days, whatever. That is part of the journey, right? Like, but it's being able to be in those bad days and learn from them, grow from them, and seeing them as
And
an
are you drinking
opportunity.
in them?
Am I what?
And are you drinking in those bad days? We didn't even like talk about that.
Oh, absolutely not. No,
Yeah, you're
I
sober.
what'd you say? I'm sorry.
You're sober, right?
I am sober. I'm sober
Yeah.
almost 3.5 years.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out because I know I didn't get to
Thank
that point in the
you.
conversation. We were talking about the fact that when the moments happened, you were numbing and that kind of stuff, but that's
Mhm.
not where you are today. So, sorry, I interrupted your 5-year vision. So I was like, wait, I feel like I didn't get to the present moment first to jump to the 5. So, you talk about whatever you want at this moment because I feel like I jumped because I remembered that piece. I
That
got
is a great piece.
excited. I was like,
Me
okay,
too. I am having so much fun. I love being here. Thank you so
thank
much for
you.
inviting me.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 years. For the 5 years, yeah, I just see myself out sharing light and love, and just helping women reconnect for real. Like, that just brings me such joy that yeah, it just gets me giddy inside and makes me excited for life. For to be quite honest, as far as my recovery journey, actually in 2017, and I thought this was really going to be but I kind of totally forgot about it too. This was going to be my fear story, how I walked through fear and whatever. Do we have enough time for another short story or no?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes.
Okay, so in 2017 I in 2016 I stumbled upon this spiritual guidance training program, and it called to me, and I knew it was something I had to do. It was a 2-year program. It was out of this really awesome retreat center.
Wow.
And I started in January of 2017. And on our first weekend meeting, they were like, okay, in June, we're going to tell our sacred stories. And, so we broke out into smaller groups, and so you're going to tell it to your small group. And so I knew from that very beginning what I was in for, in that June month. And several times I took out the notebook to try to write my story, and I hated my story. I hated everything about my story. It was like, oh my gosh, it's so filled with gross stuff. I'm tired of talking about it. Like, just suicide and addiction and drugs and blah. I was like, I'm so tired of it. And I tried for 6 months to write my story, and it just would not come. And the week before, I'm like diligent. I'm like hours, like with my notebook, like something comes, something come. Where are you? Where's my
Yeah.
story? And I got to the weekend. I didn't have a story. I had a bunch of chicken scratch, ripped out pages, everything, whatever. And got there. I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I went to the lake. It's on the lake. I went and sat down to the lake, and I said, oh my gosh, God, please just give me my story. Like, where's my story? Woo-hoo. And I started writing, and it started, yeah, seriously. And it started flowing. It just started writing, and I wrote page after page, and tears and whatever. And so it came to time to, on that Friday night, where we whoever wants to go would go. And I really thought, you know what, I'm going to go today. I want to go first. I want to go first because I never went first in my group. I always waited till last. And I was like, I'm going first. And I chickened out on going first, but I went first on the next day, on Saturday. And I shared my story, and I shared every ugly, gross, whatever piece of everything, my drinking, my just being a very just not nice mom, like, oh, just all this stuff. And I was just crying, and just letting it all out. And these 8 women, they just held my story like it was their own. Like, I mean, they just sat and held it, and it was the most amazing thing. And I couldn't write my story because I didn't want to tell my story. You know, I couldn't write it because I was trying to write something else. I was trying to write a different story, you know.
Yeah.
So once I started writing my very own story word for word, and how it looked and how it felt, it just flowed. And then I just shared it, and it flowed. And these women held me in that story and in that moment. And I walked out of that room, and I felt like 5,000 pounds lighter than I
Right.
ever had in my life. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, and I was exhausted. I think I just went back and I just laid in bed like, ugh, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
I have
3 weeks.
exorcised the demon.
Yeah, seriously. That is so, like, that is so what it's so
Well,
what
I
it
mean,
felt like.
the truth shall set, like those
Yeah,
sayings, right? The truth shall set you free. Like
you're
the
so
pressure
true.
that we put on ourselves and the fears that we build to be these big monsters, and
Mm-hmm.
like we, oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And 3 weeks later, I had a whole family, husband, child, like 48 hours that was just a mess. I started drinking on July 3rd of 2017. Like, I just couldn't believe what I was in the midst of, you know. And I woke up on July 4th, 2017, and the alcohol craving, the alcohol need was lifted from me. I never drank again. It was completely like, I mean, it was like the weight, it was lifted off. It was like, no, I don't, I really don't need that ever again. I just don't. And I've been sober ever since. I mean, I
Wow.
struggled many years to try to quit drinking. Many years. I stopped, I went, I high, low, blah, 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 and I couldn't do it. And after that weekend, it was seriously 3 weeks after, and it was just like, la.
That's incredible. Like that's crazy. Uh, okay, where is the black? Where? Let me form some words here. Where is the best place for the viewers to connect with you? Because anyone that is listening is like, I need support with that. Like, what did you do with this thing? What is this spiritual thing you're talking about? Tell me. So, where is the best place for our viewers to connect with you?
You can find me at yourwellnessgal.com. And all that I do one-on-one coaching. I'm doing some group coaching. I lead detox groups, and I'm actually putting on my first silent retreat in November. So that is super exciting.
Silent
And
retreat. You're gonna have to explain that.
what'd you say?
Did you say a silent
I
retreat?
did. I
Does that mean
did.
like no phones?
That means no phones, no talking. You stop
You just
talking
like
at, yes.
you just like see each other or what?
Yep, you see each other. I will lead a couple of workshops, and we'll talk about some things, just ways to nourish the soul. And then you take that off. You can walk the grounds, you can take a nap, you can reflect, you can journal, you can artwork. We will cook a couple meals together, to just feel that whole piece of nourishing the soul. But yeah, I'm just super pumped up. And silence, I heard this 5 years ago, and it's just clicked inside of me. It was Eckhart Tolle who I heard it from. But silence is God's only language. Everything else is a bad translation, and silence is where the answers are. You want to go inward, you got to get silent so you can hear what's going on. In my experience.
Dropping
So
nuggets. I
yeah,
love it.
yourwellnessgal.com.
Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, great. Okay, Beth, this was fantastic. And like we're like right on time. This is perfect. I know you so well right now. I'm just like super jazzed that you're here, that we had this flow conversation, and I'm really excited to learn more about what you do to contribute, you know, from your experiences. My mind is still blown, guys. And I've connected with Beth only a little bit before this. So go connect with Beth. I love it. But Beth,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for your time and coming on and being open to sharing about, you know, it's not always easy to share these things with people, especially when it's the fact that you're a mom, the fact that, you know, you didn't feel good about yourself and you went through the motions, but sharing it is another thing. So you are fearless and brave and courageous, and someone needed to hear your story. So whoever you are, like, make sure you reach out and capitalize and take action on what is inspiring to you today. So let us know, love yourself, live fearlessly, and make it a great day, everyone. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's been a pleasure.
Bye, guys.